gummy bear.
It's the internet, you're busy. Let's do this for February 9th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, it's anything but a dregs day with news about GTA 6, Star Wars Outlaws, Switch 2, and more. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Timur Hussein, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
We will not be helping you sort through today's gaming news. We will instead be focusing entirely on my tech issues.
What's up with your internet?
This is now a tech support show, okay?
Always has been.
Here's the thing, lads. I have an Asus RT-AX88U router.
Yep.
It's very expensive. It's very good, okay? My modem is the much coveted Aris Surfboard SB8200.
Right.
Which is also very good. Okay. And it's been amazing. I've had close to 1 gigabyte. I've had close to 1 gigabytes per second internet for like 6 months. Okay.
Okay.
Day before yesterday, actually, just everything absolutely shit the bed for no reason. Like, if I leave this room, I will not have internet. If I go to the other side of my apartment, which is not that big because I live in San Francisco and it's expensive here, I do not have internet. That means I cannot sit on the toilet and surf the internet. That's terrible. And nothing, I have unplugged it, replugged it, unplugged it, replugged it, and I'm just like, what's going on? Okay, what's happening? Nothing changes. Nothing changes in the hardware. Everything changes in the connection. And I'm like, what do I do?
So the issue specifically is when you're the further away you get from it, or is it like you're seeing?
Also, it drops. Everywhere. It drops momentarily.
Okay.
Yeah. The speed like nosedives. The other day, it bugged out in the middle of Steph Curry shooting a 3. He was in the air like this, and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck is he doing?"
It's unacceptable. That is, it always does happen at the worst moment when you're watching sports. I've found that happens to me too. Okay, a couple ideas. So, because your modem's pretty new, right?
All of it is new. I got it like when I moved into this apartment, which is like 6 or 7 months ago now.
Yeah. But I would double check because if you're using that router, the AX, does it have Wi-Fi 6E?
I don't think it does.
Do you have a 6 gigahertz connection as far as you're aware for a Wi-Fi connection?
No.
Okay.
No. I've been rocking that dual port 2.5
or maybe 2.4 and 5. Yes.
4 and 5. There's a 5.0 option, but I don't believe I'm using that.
Well, try that. First of all, because that will be
Here's the other thing.
Are you on Wi-Fi like on the computer when it?
Right now, I am. So what I'm doing is I'm testing. So if it screws up during this or at some point today, I know that a laptop connected via Wi-Fi is impacted. Then I'm going to hardwire it and see if it also
so we're troubleshooting.
Does the same thing.
Okay,
I'm troubleshooting this shit, you know.
Okay, well then the one thing I would suggest in this process is go into the router settings and finagle the QoS, the quality of service connection settings. Maybe turn that off. See if that improves things. Sometimes I find that the software for that can get a little bit finicky.
This is the funniest thing. They have an app which allows you to log into it. It's the worst login system I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I use a password, bank where when I make the password, it goes in there and nothing changes. Okay. I went in there, put my password in. It's like, nope, this ain't your password. I was like, what are you talking about? Because I remember logging in with this. So now it's like the only way you can get into this is factory reset. So I'm just like, fucking grow up all of this.
Well, listen, you're in the middle of the troubleshooting process. I bet by having this little segment here, you're going to get some people adding you on Twitter. You want people to just kind of throw ideas at you to try?
Yeah, twitter.com/TimurH. Hit me with some ideas. Give me some. I went on the Asus forums, and let me tell you it's kind of like old school NeoGAF in there. Everyone sucks.
Man, that's rough. That's rough stuff. Let's
see. Did you notice that? For me, there you froze for a good 20 seconds.
Oh, really? No, I didn't notice it. Okay,
I said some stuff about NeoGaf. I made a fun joke, and then I looked at you, and you're just like this.
Oh no! I heard the NeoGaf stuff. I responded to all of it, and then I was finished, and then we definitely had a moment we were passing ships in the sea, and we didn't connect for a second there. Okay, all right.
Everyone expects some awkwardness.
It's just going to be how it is. That's going to be what is going to bring the dregs today on Dregs Day. The other thing before we get started, I was we got a message from Brian Cox to Mitch McQuanchi, and I was. Listen, I'm not actually frustrated with Mitch about it, but I do think I should put this out there so that people can at him to fix his problem, which is he only knows Brian Cox from... Tam, where do you think he knows Brian Cox from?
Mitch, Brian Cox. I'm trying to figure out what Disney thing Brian Cox was in.
Think about literally the most recent thing where we saw Brian Cox.
Is it from that cameo?
It's from the Tekken
Succession?
Ad. It's from Tekken.
Oh, the Tekken. Oh my god.
And
that's his only context. Was he like literally like it's that guy from the Tekken ad?
I think he said there was maybe one or two other things. Again, I'm not mad.
He has to be doing a bit. No one is this into Disney.
But Mike just doesn't care. But he's been in a lot of great stuff. So if anyone wants to throw suggestions at Mike to learn about who Brian Cox is, I give you full permission. He may not. He's actually yelling at me in chat, but I give you permission, so go to town. Tell him where to... Super Troopers, Mike, you could start there. Congrats. Manhunter. Oh, yeah, actually, that's actually a legit good one. All right, you know what? We got to explain what we're doing here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Take-Two earnings guidance means no GTA 6 before April 2025, according to analysts. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Grand Theft Auto 6 looks set to be released after March 2025, based on publisher Take-Two's latest earnings guidance. That's according to Wedbush securities analysts Nick McKay and Michael Pachter, who said on Friday that the game appears to have slipped out of its once-anticipated early 2025 release window. On Thursday, Rockstar owner Take-Two downwardly revised its guidance for its next fiscal year, which runs from April to March 2025. In a research note titled $7 billion means no GTA in fiscal year 25, the analyst wrote, management had said that next year's bookings number will be just over $7 billion, a far cry from its initial comments of $8 billion in May, and its first revision just under $8 billion in November. The drop makes us almost certain that GTA 6 will not be releasing next fiscal year. With that said, we have no reason to believe the game will have slipped out of calendar 2025, but it is reasonable to assume that it will launch later in that year. Now, Tam, we do know that this game is officially slated now for 2025. That is the date they gave us with the trailer in December. But much of the speculation leading up to that was we would be getting the game at the latest in March of 2025 because of the number of times that Take-Two said we are expecting record revenues for our next fiscal year, fiscal 2025. Look out, everybody. We're going to make a fuck ton of money. It's going to be nuts. And so them saying that got a lot of people thinking like the only way that is possible is if GTA 6 is in that calendar year. And then we got the 2025 date. So people pieced the, 1 and 1 makes 2. We're going to get GTA 6 by March 2025. Now they have revised their numbers down by about $1 billion, which seems like the kind of money you make from a GTA 6 launch in the first couple of weeks. So a lot of this lines up, but also maybe one of the least surprising things that a GTA 6 game is going to take a little bit longer, right? He's frozen, isn't he?
No, he isn't.
Oh, you motherfucker! God damn, Jesus. You're too good at it. I hate it. You're too good at it. Motherfucker. Glad you're with us.
Yeah, yeah, completely unsurprising. Like I fully anticipate. Like, firstly, they're in a position where they can be like, no, we will not release it. How about that? And Take-Two has to just go, all right, man, please don't hurt us. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about this. It is. That seems very likely. It makes a lot of sense because if they were releasing a GTA in the period that that it would cover, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're about to make $1 trillion, everyone. It's gonna be sick as fuck, or everyone's gonna buy it." But no. So I feel like if it's conservative, if there's a GTA game in existence or coming, and the kind of fiscal predictions and projections are conservative, that GTA game is probably not coming out during the period that they're talking about.
Right, and Grand Theft Auto is a game they were already taking their time with. The fact that it would slip from a 3-month period earlier in the year to a little bit later into 2025 is just so possible. Like them wanting a little bit extra time to get GTA right. They're gonna want to get GTA right, and as much as it's nice to like jump to GTA 6, and they could it's a big company, they could use like that jolt in revenue. They aren't actually in any rush to abandon GTA 5. That game still makes them a ton of money, and so when they reset the clock on like, okay, now we have moved from GTA 5 to GTA 6, they want that to be as seamless as possible, and so of course they're going to take their time. I think we were already kind of a little surprised that they were giving us the date with that trailer right away, because that was the first time we had seen GTA 6 in some time. It's like, oh, they're just confirming 2025. Great. That was nice. I think a lot of people were hoping for that, but it still was like, oh, yeah, okay, they're going to just say that. At the same time, when that date got announced, I think one of the most common things said among people like me and you and people that do shows like this and people that like absorb the news is, yeah, that's the first date we're going to get for this game. We will probably get several others as this thing moves around and pinballs through the release calendar. And here we are.
Do GTA games tend to move around a lot? I think I'm trying to think back, and it's like maybe 5 moved once, I think, if I remember correctly.
Did Red Dead moved a couple of times, right? Red Dead 2?
I don't remember.
I'd say at the very least.
Sounds right.
Even if it's like not common for these franchises these days, with games being this big, it's common for games like this of this type.
You know who's very, very like excited about the kind of revelation that GTA isn't coming out that soon? Every other developer.
Everybody else.
They're probably like, oh, these analysts are saying that there's not likely to be a GTA in this period of time. Release the games as quickly as you can while money still exists in this industry.
Right, and if we'll get into some other news here in a little bit, but like, oh, the Switch 2 comes out this holiday. It's like, okay, we can put out a game in like the launch window of Switch 2 and not have to worry about GTA 6 coming along and distracting everybody from everything else that is happening, so we get completely buried. So yeah, I think everyone else would be pretty happy to see that this game is going to get out of their way for a little bit longer, and then in 2025 they'll have to deal with it then. As far as like what is leading to maybe a delay here, GTA 6 is aiming for perfection, according to Take-Two. This is from Haley Williams at GameSpot.
Oh, no.
With Grand Theft Auto 6 being one of the industry's most anticipated upcoming games, Take-Two Interactive, which owns GTA 6 developer Rockstar, is aiming for perfection. And the company's latest earnings call, Take-Two acknowledged the excitement around the upcoming sequel, saying it would rather push for perfection than rush an anticipated game out to market. During the call, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick discussed the ongoing success of the Grand Theft Auto series, saying that the excitement around GTA 6 trailer release had a positive impact. The Grand Theft Auto series is benefiting meaningfully from excitement surrounding Rockstar's announcement of GTA 6 and the release of its first trailer, Zelnick said, adding some statistics and blah, blah, blahs around all that. Tam, you seem to have a reaction here. How do you feel about going for perfection with GTA 6?
I just imagine a bunch of Rockstar devs going, we're doing what?
Huh? Oh, yeah, we never said that.
How many hours?
Wait, no. Oh, jeez. How many A's? Quintuple A? No, we didn't say that.
Also, that is one of the funniest. It is so funny that it has to be Like, he knew what he was saying when he did that.
God, I hope
There's
so.
no way he didn't. I think he's in on the Skull and Bones banner.
Yeah, we'll you know what, we'll just talk about it now and we'll cross it off the list later. Yves Guillemot called Skull and Bones a quadruple A game when people are like, hey, why is that game 70?
That is either he knows what he's doing, he's having a laugh.
It was a double. Someone in his team dared him to say it.
Yeah,
I dare you to go out there and call it a quadruple A game.
He is just so out of touch that he is not on the planet anymore. Like, he is drifting around in video game development space.
he's out, like orbiting Pluto. Yeah.
He's like, listen, Black Flag came out 6 months ago. We're about to pop off with a new ship sailing game. What are you talking about? I've never heard of Sea of Thieves. That doesn't exist in space. Okay, it's fine up there.
I do like, though, and I will not be the first person to point this out, like how it does like recognize the existential dread of creating a game that's like so big, where it's like the more A's you add, the more likely it sounds like you're screaming for help. Like, ah! It's like, okay, there's something there for sure, Yves. I appreciate it.
I'm just very excited for when Devolver has a moment where they're like, this is a quintuple A game, and it's just like a Tetris clone.
Right.
Or something like that.
The time for that is now, for them to come out and make that joke. I'm looking forward to them doing that this year. But yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but...
Returning to the
perfection of GTA 6
story, I mean, like, it's not a surprise that Rockstar would aim for perfection. Their games are, I think they're close to as close as a game gets to perfection most times. I can't think of any games that Rockstar itself developed internally with its own teams that have come out and needed significant overhauls, not counting the GTA remasters, which were a hot mess. But yeah, they aim for perfection. Usually they get it close. GTA, the online stuff, I think, is the only other part of it. But like, I don't count that as, I don't play those games online that much. Right. And like, they are always, I know since the, GTA 4, where they had the online, it's like always a work in progress. Yep. And it will get there. And once it gets there, it's going to make more money than most 95% of countries in this world. But they usually aim for perfection. The question is the cost of that perfection, as always. Yeah, so obviously, crunch is a big issue in the industry. It has been for a long time. Rockstar itself has been kind of caught up in issues around crunch and the amount of time and energy that goes into getting a game to perfection. So that's something that they need to be aware of, because now more than ever, people will be looking to tell that story. So if the story is, we made this game as close to perfect as we could, and also look at our developers. They're happy, they're healthy, they're getting paid well. None of them have got anything bad to say about the working conditions. That will be amazing. Right. It would be a rarity in this industry as well.
It'd be a rarity for Rockstar.
It would be a rarity for Rockstar. That is the feel-good story that I want to see happen. If it's the other case where it's like, hey, because Rockstar did make changes, and from what I've heard, it's a much better situation.
Exactly, yes.
Like, they are in a good spot. People are feeling good about going to work on GTA games, working on any of their games which require the most out of developers in this industry. And they feel okay about it. If it's a case where we reached perfection for GTA 6, but we backslid, took 2 steps back in working conditions, that is going to end very poorly. It's still going to sell gangbusters, obviously, but the impact it will have on Rockstar's kind of image is going to be significant. But I feel like they're too smart to let that happen.
I think at the very least, they are recognizing that is a potential outcome, that they could pull a Cyberpunk here if they were to rush things, if they were to get things wrong. And it could be, international news in the way that Cyberpunk kind of beefing it out of the gate was. And
I think that the thing that really helps is cars don't have testicles, so you do not need to render all those swinging.
Not with that attitude, buddy. Come on, we got to do something about that. That's what makes it GTA 6.
Yeah, the rear view mirror ornament, and one of them is a horse testicle.
It's just a big old horse, a constantly shrinking and expanding horse testicle.
Yeah. Depending on how many cops are after you, it grows or shrinks. 5 stars, it's like small. Like, oh no!
Look at the balls on this guy, this car. Listen, I think that Zelnick, when talking about this, was just like, hey, we know there's a tension between getting the game out to market and erring on the side of perfection, and we are erring on the side of perfection, which is going to lead. And it's like, their game, that franchise is in that position where not only can they do that, they probably should. I mean, it's similar to what Nintendo has done with Zelda, where it's like, hey, we think we have the ideas that are going to be very exciting for people, and if we take the time, we can get them right, and when the game comes out, it just works.
Can't wait to fuse 2 criminals in the next GTA game.
You joke, but that sounds like a very good time to me.
Sounds awesome. Yeah.
For GTA 6, maybe even more is on the line because it is such a money printing machine for them that going from GTA 5 to GTA 6, I mean, you talk about online being the problem. That is probably the thing that they are thinking about here. They probably feel pretty comfortable about being able to get a single player GTA game out to market in a way that looks really great and plays really well and is exciting, has a lot of fun storytelling in it. That the thing that they probably don't want to mess up this time is GTA Online, and that's something that's probably going to be very difficult to pull off, even if they err on the side of perfection and take all the time in the world. Running online live service games is challenging on its own. Sort of having something that might be replacing something that's very popular could be very challenging. And honestly, we don't even know how they're going to do it yet. So, I get them wanting to take their time here. They did say 2025. That gives them a little bit of a buffer if they were planning the earlier part of 2025. Now they're like pushing it later in the year. That extra time maybe should give them enough time to figure that out.
Yeah. Like you said, they are the company that can demand that.
Yes.
And it would come with immediate benefits. Like, the time that they take, the extra time that they ask for, or not even ask for, they say they're going to take, will pay dividends, because the thing that they will release will basically become a black hole of money for them, where people even in the vicinity of video games will be like, I'm buying this, done. I also feel like I think GTA more than any game has got, like, I don't want to see it, but it's the only franchise where they could release a new game that is like dog shit, and it will probably sell more than every other video game in existence. They've got like one like mulligan gimme in them before people start questioning whether there's anything to, like, before they start getting second guessed. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think it would be a hell of a firestorm if a game came out, but I think you're right that it would still sell. All right. Sticking with Take-Two for one last story here. Take-Two announces significant cost reductions, but says that those reductions are not layoffs. This is from Luis Joshua Gutierrez at GameSpot.
All the paper is gone.
Take-Two has recently announced that it's working on a significant cost reduction, but has assured the public that it won't be laying off its employees for now. The news comes from a Take-Two earnings report where the company had stated, "We are currently working on a significant cost reduction program," blah, blah, blah. But Strauss-Zelnick talked to IGN later and kind of clarified what this looks like. We haven't put any meat on the bones of that yet. I would just note that our biggest line item of expense is actually marketing. We do think we can optimize that. We also have third-party expenses, software, other vendors, supply services, and we always find opportunity there. The hardest thing to do is to lay off colleagues, and we have no current plans. So, okay.
So this is for this current period, right?
Yes.
They're changing.
I mean, listen, he like he said, there's no meat on the bones there. Basically, he has not. They haven't decided exactly what it looks like, but he has identified, like, we give money to a bunch of other people to do stuff for us, and we might cut back there. So while
how much of this do you think that is them pulling back in preparation of marketing a GTA game?
I bet saving money today means more money spent on GTA 6 marketing in the future. He talks about optimizations, and it's definitely something you hear more of today. People wanting to get more juice out of it, whatever, every squeeze of running an ad, and want to make more effective ads. I'm sure he's thinking about that stuff a little bit. But right now, he's straight up thinking less money on marketing. And that, I mean, while this means Take-Two is not going to be laying anyone off, them spending less money on partners and vendors and contractors means that other companies will still be laying people off because they're getting less money from probably a big spender like Take-Two. So this is a continued reflection of where the industry's at, where a lot of people are receding back from places where they would have happily been spending money before. And yet, hey, them trying to find a way to avoid laying off the people that actually make these games, commendable. And then finding other places to cut back. Marketing is a space where these companies spend a lot of money, about equivalent to what the budget is to a game these days.
I thought they already pulled back on marketing pretty bad because
they pulled back on giving us money, but I don't know about everyone else.
I saw the marketing for Midnight Suns, which was a good game that got sent to die.
Yeah, good point.
Fucking grow up, Take-Two. I'm just very salty about the fact that Midnight Suns got done dirty.
Yep, it got done dirty. I think partially I want to blame the gamers there because they heard cards and they all flipped out and lost and shat their pants.
Oh god, I think that's going to be one of those games where people are going to be like for years to come, be like, "Yo, did you play this game?"
It will show up on every hidden gem list from a YouTuber in 10 years for the platforms on which it is available.
So I believe CEOs and executives as far as I can throw them, which is
very far. You're very strong.
Actually, I could probably throw. I reckon I could throw Strauss Zelnick pretty far. He's quite lean.
Yeah, he's built like a lawn dart.
Yeah, I could yeet him pretty far. I think. In any case, the vast majority of them, I'm like, I don't trust anything that's coming out your mouth, homie. But taking them for their word right now, I mean, like, if you are doing stuff like, oh, we're reducing marketing and there's no more bananas, you have to buy your own Fruit Loops and orange juice is over, and as a result, we're not laying off anyone. Fantastic, love that. Everyone will be fine. They'll drink their own orange juice at home. But it's also a good opportunity to keep an eye on it. Like, if pay some attention to what happens with Take-Two in the immediate future, and hold them accountable for it. Like, it is a good opportunity to see if they are going to stick to their guns around this stuff, or if they're just trying to grind out some positive buzz.
And I mean, and it's probably also worth noting that, but he's saying there's no layoffs coming. They already laid off people at Firaxis last year, and that was in the result of that. Right,
that team developed Midnight Suns.
Exactly right. And it's like, and so then you look around. Okay, well, they're not laying off people that are working on GTA. No shit, they're because they got to get that game out, and that would I think it'd be a terrible signal to send to investors that you're laying people off.
What other games?
Civilization 7 is the thing.
No, what is Take-Two currently like?
That's the other big one that is like, I think the other big one that the reason that they were expecting a lot of money from this next fiscal year is that they're making Civilization 7, and that probably is out in the next calendar year or so.
How much do they think that game is?
Well, Civilization does very, very well.
Civ does really well, but it doesn't do like it also. It's one of those games where I don't think like you need a crazy amount of marketing behind it. You just tell people Civ is out, and then over the next course of 5 years, it will just sell an absurd amount of.
Just send Sid Meier's out there to do some TikToks or something.
Yeah.
People are pointing out the next Mafia, Bioshock. Bioshock
Yeah.
probably gets a pretty big marketing budget, actually, if they have a new one of those.
I am still not in a position to believe that that's happening. Like,
we've heard about it for so long that it's like the fact that we haven't heard about it is concerning to me. But I mean, I'm not. Those developers
they're busy building a city under the sea. That's more likely to me right now. I find that more believable than a new Bioshock game. I hope it happens though. I love Bioshock.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Bioshock guy. I hope it happens for everybody who's out there. But like, I've been paying too much attention to that. All I know is we've been hearing about that game for so long. It's weird that we haven't actually seen anything from it.
What if they mixed Civilization and Bioshock?
Well, that's just a good idea.
And you had a Civ game where you're creating these weird undersea, in the sky, like civilizations, and then eventually you have to send one of them to kill Gandhi.
Well, Gandhi needs to be stop being such a bitch, man. Just because you got a nuke doesn't mean you have to use it, man. Come on.
Yeah. He's like, peace and love. Is that a nuke? I'm hitting that button.
I love nukes. Oh, Gandhi, what's up? What's with you? All right, so let's move on to this last story before the break. Nintendo Switch 2 to be unveiled in March, according to a rumor. It's from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. The Nintendo Switch 2, Super Nintendo Switch, or whatever Nintendo is going to call it, is not that far away. Multiple reports have pointed to us getting at least a new look at whatever Nintendo has been working on sometime this year. And now a prominent leaker has weighed in, and when and he thinks we might get and he says when he thinks we might get a proper reveal. Of course, it's Tam's favorite, Nate the Hate. Nate the Hate says.
Nate the Hate.
They did he was on a podcast, Game and Talk podcast, and mentioned that he believes we'll get a reveal of some sort in March. And to his credit, he's been saying that for a while. He's been saying that he thinks we'll get it in March for quite some time.
Nate the Hate is consistent.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and consistent, and he's been pretty on point for these last few Nintendo rumors. This seems reasonable, especially if this Nintendo Direct that is probably coming up next week is a partner showcase and has third-party games. To me, that signifies we are moving on to the Switch 2 very soon. I don't know. What do you think, Tam?
Man, I am so excited to see this, mainly because I'm very excited for new Nintendo hardware. I'm also so excited to see what that screen is.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for them to pop up and be like, we have an LCD screen. And everyone goes, what?
They make a big deal.
Are you kidding?
They're just gonna be like so proud of it. It's a liquid crystal display. All right, chill out, guys.
Yeah, look at these colors. They're so washed out.
And Mike, yes, if they are gonna have a Switch 2 reveal in March and they have a partner showcase next week, you're right. Metroid Prime 4 is probably not coming out on Switch 1, and I have lost the bet. Go away,
Mike.
I've lost the bet.
Go and watch some Brian Cox stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Tam. You get it. All right. You know what? We're going to go to a quick break. When we get back, we got Shit My Nintendo Executive Says, Helldivers 2 numbers, Star Wars Outlaws, and a lot more right after this. And we're back. We're back, and the headline I have here is Shit My Nintendo Executive Says. Here are some things that the Nintendo president Furukawa discussed when talking to investors and analysts as part of their financial earnings report.
He was like, here we go.
He was like, here we go. Man, my kid is like, let's go constantly now. She's 5 years old, and that's all she says. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was a significant driver of sales for Nintendo, outpacing previous Mario titles. Half of the game's players engaged in the multiplayer mode, and the game's popularity was further boosted by the release of the Super Mario Brothers movie. Like that part, like we saw that happening all throughout the year. But the Super Mario Brothers Wonder kind of outperforming previous Mario games. I think that was the expectation, but it's definitely like, okay, they've confirmed it. There it is. All of their games seem to be doing better than they've ever done before. 2D Mario kind of seemed like, of course, it was going to do that. It always outperformed everything else. So no, not big surprise there, right?
Yeah. I mean, makes perfect sense. Do you reckon we get a full 3D Mario game for the new Switch?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I did. That's a hope of mine, mostly because I took it in our Fantasy Critic League. My
question is, did they say anything about Pikmin?
And like, they said it like crossed 3 million in sales, and that's about.
They will never admit Pikmin pops off.
Well, that did change a little bit because it did so well in Japan that whenever they're talking about it in those terms, they're like, man, Japan's pretty wild about Pikmin. The problem is like it didn't do necessarily great everywhere else. It did okay, but yeah. I think at the very least they're like, well, with the success of Pikmin in Japan, we will be making Pikmin games like probably one per console generation for the foreseeable future. And boy, I couldn't be happier about that. That's great. The movie significantly contributed to Nintendo's mobile and IP-related business, leading to increased revenue. However, smart device application income slightly decreased year on year. Nintendo, what do you think Nintendo's like future in the mobile space is, Tam?
Are they still are partnered with DNA, right?
DNA, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, are they on like maintain mode now? Because I'm not sure of anything. Yeah,
I bet there's still new stuff coming to Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And Mario Kart seemed like maintain mode. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of the kind of traction that Nintendo got in the mobile space was sadly a novelty thing. Like it was weird that Nintendo was in that space, so that people were more inclined to check it out. And I think they extended that by introducing new franchises. Like it was, people were like, oh wow, Mario's on mobile, so that got it a boost. And then as people stopped caring, they were like, haha, Animal Crossing, and then everyone played that and was like, this kind of sucks. And then people played Fire Emblem, and I would be interested to see if there's a new game coming out for it. The thing that baffles me is why don't they put out the kind of F-Zero 69 or whatever it is
69,
called.
of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Mobile phones can only handle that.
Tetris 69 and that kind of stuff on. I feel like those are a better option for.
Well, Tim, the reason they don't do that is because that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, and also they
shit.
can't gacha the shit out of it.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Like,
right.
But like those games are not intensive. The main kind of intensive quality of them is the internet connection they need, which just means that I can't play it in my current internet conditions, which sucks for me. But everyone else should be fine.
They, I think they put private rooms in the F-099, and I had a lot of fun when we did those races. We should try that again.
Yeah.
I put this next one in here mostly because I want someone to help me clarify. Nintendo's focus on IP expansion aims to increase the value of its intellectual properties and create consumer touchpoints. Royalties from non-visual content have grown, and Nintendo intends to generate stable revenue from this initiative. What the fuck is non-visual content? I tried to get a clarification on this and read up and went to multiple sites, and which they just said non-visual content, which I can only think means music or smells. Nintendo's big in the smell market.
Listen, let me tell you this, all right? They sold you the ability to smell Princess Peach's farts, would you or would you not take it?
I plead the fifth.
You know what that means? Pleading the fifth means guilt.
The American Constitution protects me in this circumstance, Tam. How dare you?
If that was an option, your nose would be so far
up those cheeks. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be be buried in there.
Meanwhile, Mitch is like, I want to put my nose up Toad's butt. And it's like, oh
hey,
god, man, why?
No shame. No shame in that game. Yeah, listen, I don't know what they mean by this. I don't think they mean Peach's butt farts and music and gun running.
Is it? I don't think. I feel like non-visual basically means anything that isn't a video game.
I think that you are right. Yes, I think you're right.
It will be like Mario and Donkey Kong.
It'd be the parks, yes, merch,
and
absolutely,
and like ringtones and shit like that.
Yes,
whatever. Not any Metroid stuff, because Lord knows they will never. They never put anything out. Right. I went to the Nintendo store looking for anything Metroid. They had one orange hoodie with the green visor on it, and it was in extra small.
Jesus.
Do they know their audience?
No, that's really ironic.
Metroid extra small?
For the only people Metroid fans out there.
Metroid stuff is fat people like me, all right? Get those sizes up.
The success of the movie prompted Nintendo to explore promotional efforts in regions where Switch sales are currently low. Mexico saw increased hardware sales due to targeted promotions during the holiday season. And this is like a quick aside, everybody, and I'm going to preface this by saying I am not a financial advisor, and this show is for entertainment purposes only. Hey, if you want to make a pretty good investment right now, look at Mexico, because with what's happening in China in terms of them going into a depression, Mexico is going to pick up a lot of that slack, and I think that they are going to have a pretty big boom period here pretty soon. And so Nintendo being like, we're selling more Nintendo Switches there. We should maybe invest in that in a big way. I think a lot of companies are going to end up making that same decision. Nintendo also saw some pretty similar consumer behaviors in terms of new consumers coming to them in unknown markets previously to them in Southeast Asia. They saw a lot of success there as well.
You heard it here first. Jeff Grubb says, invest in Mexico.
Invest in Mexico for entertainment purposes only.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I was thinking? Are we done with Nintendo news? No, we got a couple more, right?
We can. Well, we had a couple, but these were mostly just here for color. We can move on.
Okay, I thought not move on, but I was just thinking why doesn't Nintendo do a thing where they do their directs, and if it's good news, Mario presents it, and if it's bad news, Wario presents. I think that would be really funny.
It's a really good idea. Yeah.
If every Nintendo Direct started, and then out of the corner, you're like, who's going to come out? Who's going to come out? And it's Wario. And you're like, oh, no,
man, they're going to announce someone died. Or, yeah. Metroid sales. Oh, no. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good idea, Tim. They should do it that way.
Okay.
And then let's see here. Anything else worth bringing? I think Switch sales are stable. They're having trouble finding selling new consoles. Although they said first time purchasers of Nintendo Switch were kind of up. So I don't know. There's a lot of back and forth there. And then they talked in terms about like, hey, we do have to be aggressive about the Switch 2, or when that comes. They didn't use the term Switch 2, but they're like, hey, when we're looking at making new hardware, we will have to have a sense of urgency and all that stuff. But we discussed that previously earlier this week.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2's concurrent Steam player record is PlayStation Studios' highest yet. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Helldivers 2 has started well on Steam with a concurrent player record higher than any previous PC port of a PlayStation Studios game. According to SteamDB, the game's peak concurrent player count is currently 81,840, which was achieved at 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. This gives it a higher peak concurrent player count than God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, The Last of Us Part 1, and any other Steam game published by PlayStation Studios. Now, Tam, what do you think the main difference here is?
It's a multiplayer game?
That's definitely going to make a huge difference on Steam. And also, like, this game came out day and date. Those games were all 2-3 years later, right?
Yeah, and also, wasn't it straight busted for a very long time as well, which is surprising. The servers were like, oh.
Yes.
So,
This game was having real rough time on day one. I actually don't know if it's fully fixed now, but either way, a lot of people are playing it. Helldivers 1 came out to PC, and it only ever did around 6,000 concurrents, but it actually had a pretty hefty cult following that I think primed this game to do very well.
I got a lot of really good word of mouth as well for a really long time.
It's also a PC-ass game. Honestly, it's like the way that it works, where it's like, no, friendly fire is on, and if you drop something in the world, like, you have to deal with the ramifications of choosing where you dropped it. We're not going to be friendly to you. Fuck you. You're in war now. And that sensibility is very PC to me. And I think, not that doesn't mean PlayStation audience doesn't appreciate it. I think they really do. But a PC audience, like, gobbles that stuff up. So I'm not too surprised to see it doing very well there. We will be playing Helldivers 2 on UPF today, as long as the servers hold up.
Jeff Grubb said PlayStation gamers are babies and PC gamers are cool.
Come at me. God of War did about 73,000 concurrents at its peak, and Spider-Man Remastered, the third highest ever for PlayStation, is 66,000. So 81,000, pretty good debut for Helldivers. Someone in chat says it's currently at 70,000. Ubisoft CEO... Oh, yeah, real quick. Did I skip this? I put that at the bottom of Helldivers. Okay. Ubisoft CEO defends Skull and Bones price tag and calls it a quadruple A. We've already kind of talked about this. But
let's talk about it some more, honestly.
Yes.
What do you think he was on? Do you think it was weed? Do you think it was heroin?
I think he still has a stash of barbiturates that no one else has access to somehow. So he's still holding on to those, and occasionally just pops one of those before going out to speak in front of people.
I respect it. Like, he's holding out hope. If you know what, it would have been worse if he came out and was like, "This game sucks, man." You're right, it sucks. Ubisoft needs him to come out and be like, "This game is better than Half-Life 2." I'm not kidding. It's better than Half-Life 2. That's what they need.
That is exactly what they need. Sorry, I'm just grabbing this other.
But I do respect it. I actually also, I hope it's good. I hope that it becomes a good game. I want to see that game do well. I would love nothing more than to be proven wrong and like it is somehow a quadruple A game. We're like, oh my god, this is insane. This is so good. I can't believe they pulled it off. I love a rags to riches comeback story, and I played the beta.
Yeah, I was going to ask you played it.
A little bit. It definitely seems like Assassin's Creed Black Flag was many years ago.
10 years ago that game came out, right? Like even like longer than that now, because that was like a 2013 or 20. Maybe it was 2014.
Imagine Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but you cannot do the thing where you jump onto someone else's boat and stab them and throw them off the boat.
Right, the really fun stuff. You mean? Yeah. Hey, I don't want Skull and Bones to fail, but but it's hard for me as someone who pays attention to games for a very long time and seeing the ups and downs, and to not sort of build a myth in my mind that this is kind of a very funny game now at this point, where it's like, man, they really spent a lot of time making that game, and this is what we ended up with. All right. And then to have him then come out and be like, well, it's quadruple A, and that explains it. I'm like, well.
Next.
Yep.
Next month is going to come out and be like, you know what else is quadruple A? Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yep.
And just stare into the camera.
And be like, oh, do you have more to show of it? No.
No.
Just trust me. It's quadruple A.
It's quadruple A. What are the stock prices? Low? It's coming out.
For some reason, why does he think Beyond Good and Evil 2 is the key to keeping the stock price high? For some reason, he does.
Who's trying to buy us? Okay. Beyond Evil 2 out next month. It'll be fine.
We got more details from Ubisoft's earnings report here. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Ubisoft has revealed that it will have announcements to share about its future games lineup this May. As part of the company's latest earnings briefing, Ubisoft said the company will reveal the extent of its lineup for its fiscal 2024-2025 in May. This could line up with the company's scheduled full-year earnings announcement for that month. So far, confirmed releases for fiscal year 2024-2025 include Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which is the one that takes place in Japan, and Star Wars Outlaws, and that's on the premium side of things. And then the Division Resurgence and Rainbow Six Mobile are also coming out in the free-to-play space. So that means, Tam, Assassin's Creed Red and Star Wars Outlaws by March 2025. And really, both those games are probably out. I mean, at least Assassin's Creed is out by the end of this calendar year, right?
Yeah, I'm more inclined to think Assassin's Creed is out before Star Wars. I think Star Wars probably gets as much time as it needs, but not too much time because it's not Rockstar. But yeah, I also I feel like that's the kind of pecking order. You want to give that game more time than Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed also kind of sells itself in a major way. Like it's a franchise with a built-in audience that is basically sustainable, and this is a take on the game that people have been looking for a really long time. So it's likely to reignite like legacy fans who maybe have dropped off, and I feel like that's enough of a built-in success factor that they can probably make the call that Star Wars gets more time. Even if it's doing absolutely fine, and it's on track and it's looking good, extra polish time will no doubt help those developers, and they need that game to be as good as possible. They can't put out a bad Star Wars game.
Because if it's good, there's every chance it sells very, very well.
Yeah, they seen what happened with Respawn. They were like, oh, we can have one of those?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and they've seen the potential for a Division-like game to kind of exist, and it's not the same kind of experience, but that kind of open world-ish shooter style game that does well could have a lot of legs.
And Assassin's Creed has almost always come out in the holiday period, right? In the fall, like October, November. I'm trying to think if there's ever been one that launched outside of that window, and I can't think of one.
What's a Mirage? When did Mirage come out?
Mirage may be a little bit earlier. Maybe that was that September?
Remember. Maybe I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so okay. So either way though, in that fallish period, and they have previously said that Star Wars Outlaws is 2024. I think they said late 2024. And if they're taking this moment to reiterate that these games are coming out as part of their fiscal year, maybe they would have said that was going to slip if they knew that already. So there's a chance that Star Wars still comes out in November or December even. Ubisoft has done December releases before. I don't know if they would do that with Star Wars. They did it with Avatar, though, and I wonder if they view those things pretty similarly, or if Star Wars is a notch above. Probably so. But yeah, you're right. If that game needs more time, they'll give it more time and easily pop it into the first quarter of next year and not feel anything about it. That would be totally an acceptable thing in their eyes, I think.
Has there been a date for that new Star Wars movie? Oh, no, it's 2026.
Yeah, it's 2026. They don't have any Star Wars movies happening for quite some time.
Thank God.
Thank God. And honestly, I wish, whatever. I'm not excited about that movie. Sega revenues rise to $2.7 billion. This is from Sophie McAvoy at GamesIndustry.biz. Sorry, I hate that use of rise. I think increase. Sega revenues increased to whatever. Sega Sammy has released its financial report for the 9 months ended December 31st, 2023, and experienced a rise in overall sales. Short version, everybody. Pachinko up. Packy slots. That's patchy slots. Is what I just said offensive, Tam? It's P-A-C-H-I slot. All right. How would you say it? Ah, shit.
Let's move on. let's move on.
Ah, shit. Fuck. All right. So those are up. But the video game sales themselves are actually kind of down, and they were like mostly because we put out games like Sonic that didn't sell very well. Also, I think they were disappointed in Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, and Persona 5 Tactica. If you're like trying to like tell Sega how to run their business, what do you tell them about those games and how to release them? Or do you tell them like, hey, you have to just sometimes accept that because Persona 5 or Persona 3 Reload and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth are coming and they're going to sell very well, as we've already seen that they are. What do you say to that?
I mean, yeah, like I feel like Sega, I don't know how, I mean, they're never gonna like the kind of like patch slot, the rest of that stuff is gonna always be a major priority for them because it just does, like, the culture is based around them. You know what I mean? Like the Japanese culture is molded around that kind of stuff, the arcade experience. And games like, I think they are quietly confident with stuff like the Like a Dragon Yakuza franchise and Persona to an increasing degree. They know that, I bet you they're like, that next Persona, they are ready for that thing to pop off super hard.
Yes.
Persona 6, because they have released Persona 5 is Japan's Skyrim, where it's like, it made crazy money, it's out on everything, and everyone knows what it is globally. You know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like the faith is definitely there in those games. I just feel like the return on the other stuff is non-gaming business. The other arcade game business is so significant that it will always be a core focus for them.
Yeah, and like their game business is like about the same size as their pachinko business. It seems like when I try to look at these numbers, but the pachinko business is growing faster. And I honestly, I look at something like, hey, they're disappointed in the sale of Sonic Superstars. Hey, I played that game. No shit.
You know what?
It's
a lot of people are disappointed in Sonic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Constantly.
But I mean, like, hey, I can imagine a world where they put out Sonic Mania 2, and we are not having this conversation because Sonic Mania 2 does, I think, way better than Sonic Superstars.
That team is making their own game now. They're like, we got a yo-yo person. We're busy.
Yes.
We're not doing that again.
Well, I don't think they're just busy. I think Sega didn't choose them. I think Sega moved on from them. And we're like, we'll handle it ourselves. Thank you for your help making Sonic relevant again. We got it from here. And clearly they don't.
Well, we'll now proceed to drive that lad into the ground again.
Exactly.
We'll see you in 7 years.
Finally, PS5 has outsold Xbox Series X/S 2-1, according to data. Take-Two had a slide that said 77 million consoles have sold this generation. That would be just for the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. And if you were to use the mathematics of subtraction and subtract 50 million that PlayStation's confirmed, that would get you about 27 million for the Xbox, 2-1. That's actually about the ratio of last generation, so not much has changed. I don't know. What do you think, Tam?
I think that you should stop trying to make me do maths on a Friday morning, and I will not be engaging in this conversation.
That's fair.
Xbox. I mean, like, it also makes sense. Like,
yeah, and like, but like, I think people are wondering, hey, well, things must be really bad over at Xbox for them to be wanting to change their strategy so drastically away from exclusives. And then you see numbers like that, and it's like, well, that's about what it was last generation.
No,
you're right.
We actually talked about it like on today's episode of Spot On, which is about the Xbox.
And when is that live, and where can people see that?
That will be out later today. It'll be on youtube.com/GameSpot and GameSpot as well. And we'll tweet about it. But a lot of people just automatically are like, oh, change in exclusivity clearly means that things are bad at Xbox. No, that isn't necessarily the case. These businesses have a responsibility to read the tea leaves, look at the landscape of the industry they're in, and try and think about where the business is going before they have to make the turning. You know what I mean? Pivoting in a significant way is not easy.
Big ships take a long time to turn.
The ship. Yep. Yeah, you have to start turning the ship. And what we discussed there is there's probably a lot of considerations put into how much are we getting out of exclusivity, how much do we stand to gain from making everything multi-platform, what are the business conditions now, and what will they be like in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What is going to get us through that? And that's probably had a significant contribution, and if not, was the deciding factor in changing any sort of business change that they may or may not make. So when people are like looking at these numbers and being like, "Oh, these sales don't seem all that bad. Why would they change this?" It's because the sales of consoles isn't the be all end all for a company's performance, and especially if they need to figure out how to stay healthy going forward. It would be irresponsible of them not to do stuff like this. And that goes for Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, everyone. Sony is always doing this as well. You just don't hear that much about it. Same with Nintendo. Nintendo exists in their own bubble where their business is entirely their own and they're kind of like future-proof to themselves in a lot of ways. But it's very normal for consoles to sell relatively well and business strategies to change in a significant way.
Yep, well said. They're making some money. They want to make a lot more, and they're looking for creative ways to do that, and that's their job. So yeah, you're onto something there. All right, we have poll questions to get to. Let's get to this. This is from yesterday. Are you going to go back to Spider-Man 2 for New Game Plus? 84% said no. Only 16% said yes. I voted no in this. I like a New Game Plus here and there. But these days, that's not happening usually unless I'm just so invested and it's available right away, like it was with, let's say, Armored Core 6. How about you, Tam? You going to go back to this? No.
I might dip in. Like, I dip in and out of Spider-Man games just because I like the feeling of swinging around. So I'll probably pop it in at some point and fire it up in the next few months and then be like, oh, the DLC New Game Plus is out, whatever. I'll check it out. But I doubt I will do a full replay of that game.
I got a new poll question that we're going to get to here in a second. But before we do that, Tam, what do you have going on? Where can people find you on the internet? All that good stuff.
You find me at home trying to figure out why my internet is busted. And also I'm on Twitter at TomorH. And I'm also on Twitch, TomorH, which I will be bringing back very soon. I, since moving here, haven't streamed. And that is partially because it's hot for me on the internet right now.
Sure.
And also... I've
Coming
been working
from my boy
on
out there, everybody.
Yeah, everyone's after me. And also, I've been working on revamping a lot of the art stuff, and I've been like hitting up my good friend and our good friend of the site, Jerem, who has put together some absolutely banging bits of artwork for me. So I'm like slowly revamping that, but I hope to be back streaming very soon. Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Keep sending me potential solutions for my bad internet.
And that's twitch.tv/TomorH, everybody. Make sure you hit up our boy here.
I need it to pop off so then when I go to the American government and I'm like, please let me have this visa, they look at it and they're like,
hey, my kid watches you.
Kinda, yeah. Exactly. He's kind of popular. He's not. He ain't no Kai Cenat, but you know, he's whatever.
I think you could start a riot in Times Square for a PS5. You gave one away.
Yeah, and somehow I'd be the only one that gets arrested. Everyone else would be absolutely fine.
It was a sting operation. They were coming for my boy. Let's see here. New poll question. Do you think GTA 6 comes to Switch 2? Your options are never, eventually, but not right away. And Switch 2 will be a launch platform for GTA 6.
I feel like the thing that's keeping that from happening is Nintendo. Like I feel like they need to spend every new console. I feel like they have a certain period of time when they need to invest on establishing a very specific kind of identity for their console, which is welcoming, family friendly. Anyone can buy this. It's cool and it's inoffensive. And then once that kind of wave has passed, that's when they go like, you can also get some real nasty shit on this if you want it.
Look at this mad world. It's got a sad song in it. Yeah, and there's blood.
I feel like if GTA comes out on it, it will be many years into like the Switch 2's life cycle.
I think on the other side of that, Rockstar also likes to do the spreading these things out where, hey, this year it launches on these consoles. Next year it'll launch on PC. The year after that it launches on the next gen consoles, and the year after that it launches on Switch 2. They could easily do that again, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull that move here.
I want Rockstar to like, of all the companies, I want Rockstar to be the weirdest with DLC. Like I hope that they go for this one. They're like really freaky about it. Like
I hope so. We'll see.
Fortnite it. Go hardcore Fortnite with GTA Online. Like,
right,
it's a GTA Online The Sopranos crossover.
Okay, that would be legit incredible.
Like
I would love that.
100 Tony Sopranos running around.
I think we're going to say like Teletubbies and stuff. I want that too. But
no.
Give me Tony Soprano for sure. All right. I think that's going to do it. Helldivers. We're playing Helldivers in about 30 minutes, everybody. Helldivers 2. Going to get a crew in there, see how that's going. That game, I started it to get through the tutorial. It seems like it's going to be a real good time. It is my
Whenever
kind of shit.
someone says Helldivers, I just hear Holy Diver in my head, and it just carries on.
Tam, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it, man.
I love being here. I will never be kept away from here, even with bad internet. And I will see you next Dregs Day, I think. I'm at DICE next week, which is wild.
Man, it's wild. I can't believe we're already at that time of year.
Yeah. And then it's GDC after that.
It's nonstop, everybody. Look out for us doing our thing. Go watch that. Catch Me If You Dan. It's fantastic. It's really good stuff. He did a really good job. And Jan's editing is very on point. You could tell he was having a good time with that. That's up on YouTube now, up on the website. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. So it's patchy slots is what I'm supposed to say. Fuck.
Someone edit that together.